Welcome to Tarbo Eminent Channel, a fascinating exploration into the hypothetical world of human hibernation is undertaken, delving into the profound biological and societal implications this would entail. The viewer's imagination would be captured by considering how daily life, work, and even the concept of time itself might be transformed. That's a fascinating thought experiment, and surprisingly, not as far-fetched as it might sound. Thought-provoking question. Imagine a world where winter meant more than just cold weather, it meant a deep, profound sleep lasting for months. What if humans truly hibernated? Thanks for watching. Request you to subscribe the channel. This isn't just a sci-fi fantasy, it's a dive into the mind-bending biological and societal shifts that would ripple through our lives. Get ready to rethink everything you know about daily routines, work, and even time itself. Intriguing scenario. Your alarm clock rings, but instead of waking up for work, you're emerging from a 4-month slumber. Sound wild? We're about to explore the incredible reality of human hibernation. From how your body would change, to the complete overhaul of our economy and social structures, prepare to have your mind expanded. This video will make you wonder if sleeping through winter might just be the ultimate life hack. The long sleep. By the year 2300, humanity had perfected the art of hibernation. Each winter, as the last leaves fell and the northern winds grew sharp, cities dimmed their lights, and the world collectively exhaled. Across continents, people retreated to their hibernation pods, temperature-controlled chambers that mimicked the quiet dens of bears. Within hours, billions drifted into the long sleep. For nearly 4 months, Earth itself seemed to pause. The skies cleared, no planes roared overhead, and the hum of industry vanished. Solar arrays kept essential systems alive while autonomous drones tended to power grids, farms, and wildlife sanctuaries. From orbit, the planet glowed faintly blue and calm, a resting giant. Inside the pods, human bodies transformed. Heartbeats slowed to a whisper, breaths came once every 30 seconds, and body temperatures dropped until skin felt cool as marble. People neither dreamed nor aged much during hibernation. Time folded in on itself, turning winter into a single heartbeat. Fat reserves kept them alive, an echo of a distant, primal instinct reborn through science. The Long Sleep, Part 1, The Winter of Silence. When the first frost touched the glass towers of New Avalon, the hibernation bells began to ring. Across the city, their deep, melodic tones echoed through the avenues, signaling the start of the annual descent into the long sleep. The streets, usually alive with chatter and light, grew still as families made their final preparations. Leora stood on her balcony, staring at the skyline one last time before the great quiet. The air shimmered with the soft glow of hibernation drones drifting overhead, checking for temperature stability and air purity. Below, neighbors hugged their loved ones, exchanged whispered goodbyes, and disappeared into their pods. Every year it felt the same, like saying farewell to the world itself. Her pod stood in the center of her apartment, sleek and silver, humming faintly. It looked peaceful, but Leora had never trusted it. Her father had been an awake one of the few who stayed conscious through the long sleep, and he used to tell her stories about the winters, how the stars seemed brighter when humanity slept, and how he would walk through the city alone, hearing only the wind. He died during one of those winters, keeping the city's systems alive when a power surge had threatened to shut down an entire district. Leora touched the edge of her pod and hesitated. Every year she felt the same pull. Part of her wanted to join the rest of the world in the quiet safety of hibernation, but another part wanted to stay awake, to see what winter really looked like without the noise of humanity. The pod's timer began to pulse, sleep sequence commencing in 60 seconds. She sighed and climbed in, the lid sealing with a soft hiss. The temperature dropped, and her breathing slowed. Her last thought before consciousness faded was of her father's voice saying, "Someone must always stay awake." Part 2, The Winter Watch. When Leora opened her eyes, she knew something was wrong. The pod lid had unsealed halfway, and a faint red emergency light pulsed across the room. She sat up, her breath fogging in the cold air. Outside, through the frosted glass of her window, she could see the city, dark, snowbound, and utterly silent. The hibernation systems must have malfunctioned. She checked the network terminal, but the signal was dead. Every pod in her building remained sealed, their status lights blinking blue, everyone still asleep. Everyone but her. For the first time in her life, Leora saw what her father had seen, a world without movement, without sound. The snow fell thick and unbroken across empty streets. Streetlights flickered weakly, casting halos of gold in the fog. The city felt both beautiful and haunted. She wrapped herself in a thermal coat and stepped outside. Her footsteps echoed sharply against the stone. All around her were sleeping giants, the towers, the streets, the frozen rivers, everything waiting for the warmth of spring to wake them. She wandered for hours, half afraid, half awestruck. By the third day, she found others. A group of 5 awake ones had gathered near the power hub in the city center. They'd stayed conscious intentionally, part of the winter maintenance corps. When she told them she'd woken by accident, they exchanged uneasy glances. Something in the energy network had faltered weeks ago, one of them explained. Some pods had begun to fail, and they didn't know how long the backup systems would hold. Together, they worked to stabilize the city's grid, a ghostly crew in a world of sleepers. They took turns walking the streets, checking for structural breaches or damaged pods. The silence became both their companion and their enemy. At night, when the auroras shimmered above the frozen skyline, Leora thought of how fragile it all was, this strange civilization that trusted itself to sleep. Part 3, The Awakening. Weeks passed before the first signs of spring appeared, a faint rise in temperature, the hum of the solar grids powering up again. The city's central core sent out the awakening signal, and one by one, the pods began to stir. When the people awoke, they found Leora and the other awake ones waiting, pale and thin but alive. News of the malfunction spread quickly, and for the first time, many questioned the ritual of the long sleep. Was it safety, or was it surrender? Leora looked at the crowds emerging into the sunlight, blinking and stretching like newborns. She realized then that hibernation had made humanity both powerful and vulnerable, capable of controlling time itself, yet helpless against a single system failure. And in that moment, she understood her father's words, someone must always stay awake.